What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another Friday segment with your boy. We are live. We are talking, of course, about watches. If you're new here, this channel is all about watches. And a lot of my journey has been talking about custom building watches. It's come full circles, ladies and gentlemen. And I have to say this. I want to thank you guys for your support. If not for you, DIY Watch Club would not have gone into the DMs and asked me if I was interested in seeing this watch kit that they sent me, and I was absolutely interested to take a look. And I'll tell you why. Very early on, way before I decided to do the whole YouTube thing, I built my own custom watch and I used DIY Watch Club. I use their bronze case. That's what's on wrist and that's what I'm wearing. And if you guys are here from the beginning, the very early stages of this channel, you'll know that that was the logo that I used on this channel itself, because I was really proud of the watch. I went into the watch several times. It's how I learned to do all the things that I've done. I built about 50 watches at this point in time. And yes, I do push the agenda for you to try it out. Not because this video is sponsored by DIY Watch Club, but because here's the deal. When you get into watch collecting, when you get into watches in general, there's a certain perspective that you can't get unless you start to dive into the whole customizing, building watches and everything else. You know that watches are fragile. You know that hands are fragile. It's a little different than when you actually handle the watch parts itself and you get to see exactly what it means. And I'll tell you this, if you dabble, you don't have to go as crazy as I am. You don't have to build 50 custom watches, yes? But if you at least attempt once to put your own watch together, you'll then understand how to service your own watch to a certain degree. Now, watchmaking in its finest, utmost top brilliance should be left to watchmakers. I understand. But if you want to change some hands out, if you want to change out a bezel insert, if you want to learn how to pop off the bezel itself, maybe you want to change a crystal, the sky's the limit. And I think that when it comes to time for service, and if you have a certain movement, you could do it yourself. So that is the reason why I think everyone should at least attempt it. I'm just going to say that, okay? Now, we are going to do an unboxing. I did start a little early, so we're going to get to that fairly soon into this stream. It's only 3 minutes in. We're going to do it at 5 minutes. I want to say hello to everybody on chat. You guys are coasting and chilling, so I do appreciate you guys for tagging along, even though I started early. But yeah, DIY Watch Club sent me their watch kit. They asked me if I would be interested. I absolutely was. And it's how I started putting together my own watch. And I want to show you guys this watch up close. I've shown it before. It's the bronze case. And I'll tell you what, years old this watch is, okay? Years old. It has its patina. It's gone through several changes. The dial is not from them. The hands are not from them. The case is. And the functions of the case, whether we're talking about the bezel, whether we're talking about the crown itself, all functions well. And just so you guys can see, you can see on the crown right there that has the little D from them. So that's how you know. Is that on there? It is. So the parts that they provided stand the test of time. And here's what I want to do. I want to do an unboxing today to show you guys what a Pro tool set will be from the company. We're going to look at the website to see some of the options before we end off. And then I'm going to build the watch, but I'm going to do it where I'm not going to give every waking detail to every single step. And I'll tell you why. I've already dived into the DIY Watch Club's videos itself, and their explanation on how to put the watch together is very, very instruction easy for you to understand, for you to consume, for you to follow. I was really impressed with the instruction part of putting their watch together. Now, I'm going to also tell you guys which watch I chose because it's a little different than what I've built in the past, but enough of that. Let's get to unboxing. That's what you guys are really here for, yes? So let me see if I could pull up the camera, if it doesn't fail me, and then we'll take a look at the box that they sent to me itself. So here's the box that they sent me. This is the Pro tool set. This is going to have everything as far as all the tools. The Pro tool set from the standard set that they give you is going to be the difference between a few things that they add on to here, okay? I recommend getting the Pro set because the added stuff that they give will help out tremendously. But I wanted to show you guys, this is the actual box that it comes. It's a pretty big box. It's allocating a lot of space on my desk. So I'm probably going to remove the box and just show you the contents one by one. But I want to show you guys the feel and everything else. I was impressed with the packaging for sure. And you guys are going to see exactly what I'm talking about in more detail as we go along. So first thing first, as far as organization goes, as far as having everything nice and tidy and everything having its own thing, because here's the deal, we're talking about watch parts. When we talk about watch parts, you got to make sure that you are properly packaging it, especially when it's an assembly kind of deal. So the first part is this, and here you'll find an instruction manual. I know how you guys do, okay? You guys are probably like me. You're like, I don't need no instructions. Listen to me. This gives you access to the videos and how to put the watch together. So this is very important. Don't throw this away if you go with that kind of setup. Lone Ranger's in the building. He says, hi, ho, Silver, everyone. What's up, Lone Ranger? After that, after you have the instructions, you have parts here from the watch itself. So I'm going to remove that. And look, here's the benefit of watching this video. I probably should have let off with that. Let me bring myself back up. The benefit of you guys hearing me speak about DIY Watch Club, other than anybody else, and listen, you can listen to whoever you want. I've built a lot of watches. I built 50 watches, probably a little bit more for myself, family, and for people who wanted me to do builds. The point of telling you that is that the perspective that you're going to get here, even on this unboxing, is how I see it being fit for a first-time user versus also somebody who's built a couple of watches. Yes, I have experience with it. So even when I build the watch, I'll be able to tell you guys the quality of parts, how it was all along, and everything else. So I just wanted to make sure to say that. That being said, let's go back into the unboxing. So here's the first section that I removed. We're going to remove the rest of this and then do it part by part just to give myself some space. And here are the parts to the watch that I chose. Now, I specifically chose a Miyota. I built plenty of NH35 watches. The fact that they had Miyota movements available to do a build was really, really nice. And I chose a GMT. I chose a GMT movement. So this is the Miyota 9075. This is the movement here, right? And I'll tell you what I'm going to do first. You may not have a time grapher to test the movement, but the first move that I'm going to do is I'm going to test that movement to make sure that it's functioning well. Otherwise, for me at least, it would be kind of a waste of time if I'm actually assembling a watch that has a dead movement. However, I'm not leading you guys to think that they're going to send a movement that's defective. I absolutely don't think that that's the case. So this is the Miyota. Let me bring the light closer. Hang on one second. We'll get through this. Here we go. So this is the Miyota 9075, right? True Traveler GMT. And there are some differences besides working with an NH34, which they also have as an option at a better rate. The only real difference, guys, is when you're assembling a Miyota 9075 from an NH34, is when you're putting on the actual dial, there's going to be screws that go in to lock it into place. There's also going to be a dial divider that goes in there. There is a difference in how you turn the hands, right? You're going to be turning the hands towards you, which is counterclockwise, rather than doing it clockwise. So small things, nothing that I'm too afraid of, but I'll tell you something. I don't recommend anyone to do a Miyota 9075 for their first install. It's something that I chose here because this is not my first installation. But by the end of this video, if you are intrigued and you are looking at the website and it is your first time, I recommend that you go with an NH30. NH38 would probably be the easiest, right? Because you have no date complication. But even an NH35 with just a date wheel will probably be nice with a three-hander and everything else, because that's the other added thing, right? It's a GMT, which means that we have to mine the GMT hand. We have to mine the actual date wheel. There's just a lot going on, and this is a little bit more complicated. But that being said, I still think that it is possible. I'm just giving you all of the information. So that's the Miyota movement, Miyota 9075. We'll place that down. So inside of this packaging, it's still covered up, which it should be because, you know, dust particles and everything else, you want to keep your movement safe altogether. Then we have the case itself. So this is the bezel and the bezel insert that comes with the case. This is called their maxi kind of case with it. I'll tell you what, you can't really see it too well. I'll try to bring it up on here, but we have some finishing here that's rather impressive. And let me wipe this off really quickly just so you guys can get rid of the smudges. And then I want to show you the finishing on here. So the finishing on here is pretty satin, right? This is a brush finishing along the side. We have a nice curve on the lugs itself. I listen, I don't expect anything less. Again, I started off with a DIY Watch Club bronze case, and this is still standing the test of time. So as far as their cases go, as far as their parts go, and everything else, I think they're going to be phenomenal quality. I don't have anything to expect, anything less than that. I will say this: I have done other watch kits in the past, and I'll tell you what the difference here. They cut the stem and they attach the stem to the crown. I believe that this is already glued to the crown. This is already cut to size, which is nice. Because here's the thing, man. Is it cool to learn the skill to cut the stem to the crown? Yes. The problem is if it's your first time, if you cut too much material from the stem itself, it'll be too short. At that point, if the company does not provide more stems, you're going to have to purchase extra stems. And as a beginner, you're going to cut it too short. I've done it. I've had a whole bag separate. I've done it, and I've done it more than once. And I'm driving this point home because I think that them doing the pre-cut and attaching to the crown ahead of time is smart. Also, you would have to provide glue if you want to give the full package as far as what's provided for parts. So I think it's a smart thing for them to already cut and size the stem itself, if that makes sense. And again, cutting the stem is the most common mistake, to cut it too short. So I understand why they did that altogether. Nick Figueroa, Eric Mack is in the building. Let me say hi to the crew. Hey, Skylar, hey, chat. What's up, brother? Finally made it to the live stream, watching while at work. Man, you but put the volume down. Put the volume down. You know what I'm saying? Boss man might come around. I appreciate you, Nick Figueroa. Lone Ranger is saying hi to the team. Raymond D's in the building. Tim Cheese, as usual. Raymond D's here. I think I said that. He said, yeah. Okay, so we said hi to everybody. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. So let's take a look at what else that we got, right? And I'm giving you guys the perspective. This is how my mind works when I'm looking at these parts, okay? And that's where my experience comes in, not to beat my own chest, but I've been around the block when it comes to customizing watches. So I am happy that they already pre-attached this. I think that was a smart move, okay? We then have the dial. So this is the dial that I went with, and you guys are gonna see the actual kit all together. So this has red text at the bottom. This is a GMT dial, so the hole is a little bit bigger for the middle. We have loomed indices. I mean, it's phenomenal, man. It's hard to see up close. I'm going to keep everything packaged until I'm ready to assemble this. But at the end of the day, even this dial holder, to be honest with you, is premium. It's not a cheap way to secure this dial. You'll see a lot of watchmakers who have this kind of circular disc that actually pushes the dial up, which secures it in place so it's not rattling around, right? So you don't mess up the indices while it's in transport. So packaging wise, I think they hit it right on the head. They know what they're doing. They've been doing it for a while. So it kind of makes sense that they actually make sure that everything is secure. So dial secure, case is wrapped up in plastic. Of course, the actual movement itself is completely covered in plastic and safe from any dust particles and everything else. These are the movement bumpers. So you have two things here. You have the movement bumper, right? And then you actually have the dial spacer with the screws in here. Because again, the difference between an NH35 or an NH movement and Miyota, and you can see the screws here, you only need 2 screws to secure the dial. They provided 4. I like that. I like that a lot because that shows that they're caring for the new person building a watch to, and listen, it's not just the new person building a watch. Those screws are super tiny. Just take a look at the screws compared to my finger. Yes. Like here are the screws and here's my finger. So it's very easy for you to lose those screws. And I'm glad that they provided 2 additional ones. Trap Vision is in the building. Robert Wood is in the building. What's going on, gentlemen? Trap, I need you to enjoy your vacation. So we have the actual movement bumper and then we have the dial spacer. And on the back side of this, you also have the you have the 4 hands, right? You have the second, you have the hour, you have the minute, and then you have the GMT hand. Now, here's another thing that I like that they do, and I do believe, I didn't open this completely, but you could kind of see it from the packaging. They also provide extra hands. I think they give you a full set. I love that. That is also attention to detail when it comes to somebody doing this for the first time or somebody still experienced in just making a mistake. Hands are, aside from the actual movement and maybe aside from the actual movement, hands are the most fragile thing to handle. And it's very common for people to push down too hard, have a slip. Maybe you pick up them with the tweezers, the metal tweezers, and you scratch them up. So they are the ones that are often taking the blunt of the fouling that you may do when you're assembling a watch. So I love the fact that they gave us extra parts when it came to the hands and it came to the screws itself. Okay. Aside from that, we have a bracelet. Now, I didn't unpackage the bracelet. I wanted to leave everything wrapped up, but I can tell you what I was impressed with. I was impressed with the finishing, which is a little difficult to see in the packaging, but I'll tell you what, guys, we have some quick release here. And that alone, I was very, very impressed with. We are still getting tooled adjustments for the bracelet itself, but there is a significant amount of heft here. And we have some curved end links, so it's going to be very close to the case, if not very, very flush. So a very decent bracelet. Again, oh, and it's also screwed, guys. We have screwed in links, okay? So DIY Watch Club is also a premium bracelet. Like, it's not half bad at all. You're not buying a shoddy type of parts altogether. So I was also impressed with the bracelet that they had. Again, it does have a good amount of heft to it. It is polished in the center, so we are going to receive some scratches there, but we are brushed here at the buckle. Attention to detail with the actual packaging in between. I mean, I am fully impressed with what they're doing, and I did see some evolution as far as what they're offering, especially with these quick release. Very, very nice. And I'll tell you what, man, check them out on Instagram, because DIY Watch Club just post that they're doing a aventurine dial tourbillon. Yes, aventurine dial tourbillon. He's working on it. He's working on it. Right now it's prototype status, but I was fully floored. I literally just saw that today. So check that out on Instagram. It's not on their website. That is something that they're going to offer as far as kits go as well. So aside from that, something that I requested, a little special for myself. I've never had a Coke bezel. I've never had a Coke bezel insert, I should say. And I have the best of both worlds, because now I have the actual GMT, right? And if you look at the dial, we have the GMT time towards the edge of the dial itself, right? So you're going to have the actual indices, you're going to have the edge, and then if I do this, you have effectively 3 time zones, which is the Coke kind of thing, and they gave me the actual bezel and bezel insert, which was really nice. Or if you go standard, you could have still a timing bezel. Now, this is what actually comes with the kit if you purchase it. I asked for this extra because I've never had a Coke style bezel insert, and that's what I'm going to end up doing for my modification. But I do love the fact that you can still have a timing bezel with the actual GMT function from the dial, from the edge that we have here. So we have 2 time zones plus timing, or if you guys want, you can purchase bezel inserts to coincide with what you prefer more. So I want to see what chat is saying. We are going to go back into the unboxing. So that was all the actual parts that is necessary. And some of you might be surprised. You might say, oh, that's it. Yeah, it's not that bad, man. You have the case. They already did the crown and stem, like I said. You have the bumpers and the actual dial spacer. You have the insert that you're going to pop on here. The bezel's already installed, right? This bezel insert, by the way, is separate. I'll show you guys just so you don't think I'm fudging you. That's separate, right? So all I'm doing is lining that up. Make sure when you do that, you just make sure that all the back play is gone, and then you install it, line it up with the dial once it's in there. You have the movement itself, you apply the hands, and then you're done. All of which, if it's your first time, I want to say it's going to take you anywhere from, I want to say 2 hours to 2.5 hours. It should take you that long. Listen to me. If you are watching this and you get encouraged to try it out, take your time. Carve out at least 45 minutes. It should be an hour, but carve out at least 45 minutes of undistracted attention that you can give to it. The last thing that you want to do is try to rush things, or you get frustrated and you try to rush some parts. Getting frustrated and forcing parts and watchmaking don't speak the same language. So learn from my mistakes. Don't do it. If you have to take a time out, if you have to take some time to get back to it, take a time out, cover that movement up, make sure you cover the movement, you don't want dust on it, and get back to it later on. Let me see what you guys. Yep, your vote is for. Thank you, bro. I thought so too. I never had it, so I'm actually really excited to put that together with it. And I'm gonna take my time. I may start this weekend, and I'm gonna have a lot of fun with it. I bet the loom is sick too. I'll tell you what, bro. Just because you said that, let me go get my loom pen. Let me cut the lights out, and let's take a look, because I think that that's a valid thing to also show, right? And I can't cut the lights out too much, but let's see how this works, right? Let's see how much of this I can get. Let's see. So this is BGW9. You could already tell, right, from the bluing. Now, again, I have a lot of light source still coming in, so mind that. I will show you guys in the review video once I build this. I'll show you an actual true loom shot. But we're getting BGW9 loom, which is fantastic, right? Fantastic altogether. That's the best that I could do. That was just for you, Raymond D. On the road, so I'll still be listening. Appreciate you, bro. Eyes on the road. Eyes on the road. Coming back. I appreciate you. All right, so you guys are chilling after that. I just want to make sure nothing was directed to me, and then we'll continue unboxing it. How does it compare to the Namoki and other kits in terms of quality and parts, etc.? I'll tell you what, man. So I built this one years ago. Hold on, let me take the comment off. I always leave that. I built this DIY watch club before I started doing YouTube. Namoki was the first watch kit to reach out to me. Greatly appreciative. How does it compare? I'm doing the unboxing today, so I haven't spent a lot of time. I want to say that they're pretty much equal. I want to say that. However, when I show you guys the tool set, like when it comes to the actual tool set provided for the watch itself, I have to give it to DIY Watch Club, and it's going to make sense once I show you the actual kit that came with it. But parts quality altogether, I want to say that they're equal, if I'm being honest. But I may change my mind once I build this watch altogether. Now, what you may ask me is also, how about the finishing, right? That's something for me to dive into. That's a very valid question. But at the end of the day, man, I know that's kind of like a cop-out. Maybe you feel like, oh, you're copping out. You just want to be nice to both. No, I really, honestly, I had no issues with Namoki. I have no issues with DIY Watch Club. So it really, for me, and I wouldn't back Namoki or DIY Watch Club unless I really believed in it. For me, it comes down to, bro, they give very different aesthetics. I think they offer different kind of looks. So you really can't go wrong. Buy the one that you fall in love with the looks and then go from there. Cheers. Like Skylar's a politician. That was a nice politician answer. Luciano's in the building. He's lurking and driving. You better be more driving than lurking. Be safe on the road, my friend. What else you guys are saying? Did I miss any other questions? I read that. Make sure we're caught up. I said hi to Robert Wood. Mr. Wood is in the building. Dad's Mods Watches. How appropriate is it for him to log into his account of modding watches? You're going to like this, bro. Thank you for joining me. Fantastic modder. Fantastic modder. I learned a lot from Dad Mods Watches, by the way. In terms of frustrated, allied with my short fuse out of small parts in the wall. Okay, so if you have a short temper, here's the deal. Okay, was it Mackin? I too have a very short fuse. That's why I made sure to say, if you do find yourself getting frustrated, take a break. Don't force anything. I've done it. And I'll tell you what, frustration plus watchmaking doesn't work. So think of it as a week-long project. Think of it as a 2-week project. Here's the deal. What's the rush to completing that watch altogether? When it's done, you get to enjoy it, and you're the watchmaker who put it together. That is the fundamentals of it. And then from there, it can go wherever you want, because once you understand how to remove a dial, you can change the dial and hands to whatever you want, so long as those parts coincide with the watch that you want to play with. This watch has gone through several different iterations. So at the end of the day, bro, I get it. If you have a short fuse, just take your time, man. Just take your time. Don't rush it. Enjoy the process. Part of that purchase is enjoying the process and understanding things, So forget about getting to the finish line. It's a marathon, not a sprint, I think they say. I'm going to end off on that. So that being said, let's move these aside. And then we're going to take a look at the tool set. Then we're going to take a look at the website. Then I'm going to see what else you guys are saying. And then we're going to peel off because your boy has a date night with the wife. Yes, date your wife, ladies, gentlemen, or ladies and gentlemen. I was technically correct. If you want to have a long, healthy marriage. So here is the tool set. This is specifically the Pro 2 set. And I'm slapping the crap out of it because it is a very nice, secure case, and it'll be fine. So let's remove the plastic. Let's remove this. So it was covered by plastic. It's covered by this white cartridge as well because they want to protect the actual case itself. Now, this looks like a watch box, but it's not, right? And it's actually very, very supple here. It's very soft. I'm very impressed with this tool set. And I'll tell you something, if not anything else that I've mentioned here on this live, for me to be impressed with a tool set should say something to you. I want to say this. Before I open this up and show you guys, I still use their case back removal. And I've opened the cases to the back of my watches maybe 400 times. Because I sometimes regulate NH35 movements. Oh, you don't believe me? No problem. First and foremost, this is the original case back remover. See the D? That's DIY Watch Club. See this? It's still valid. So I still use their case back remover. It's the only one that I've ever had. I actually still have this little leather case back thing that they had too. Where did I put it? Did I move it around? I did move it around. But in any case, I know you guys believe me. Let's go to the tool set. Yes? Sound advice. Appreciate you, bro. All right, so let's go to the actual tool set. So, the tool set. Pro set, you get this very nice case. And here's the deal. It's worth it. Because you guys just saw how I'm rocking my tools. It's a no-no. Okay? If you have your tool set like this is like an AliExpress special. I bought an additional tool set after doing everything because I wanted to add certain parts. A lot of things are loose in here. Let's bring it to the camera. A lot of things are loose in this case itself. All these tools are flopping around. You know, I have this to clean off the hands and everything else. This is an actual tool still from DIY Watch Club. I think they have their little logo on here if I need to prove it to you. Where was it? You guys believe me. So this is like the tool set that I have. Everything is flopping around and everything else. Not ideal. I mean, they're tools, so are they going to break? Maybe, maybe not. Hopefully not. I've had them in here for a while. But when you go from that to this, I want you guys to check this out. Alrighty then. Alrighty then. All right, so let's check it out, man. What are they providing in their Pro tool set? I'll tell you. We have actual hand setting, right? And they give you different sizes for whatever you're setting, whether you're setting a GMT hand, whether you're setting a second hand, whether you're setting an hour hand. And specifically on that pinion, on the movement itself, I want to show you guys everything. I want to make it make sense because I may have very newcomers here. On the actual pinion, which is the very middle here, you see that little thing in the middle that holds the hands? Okay. There's different sizes and different tiers that they have when you install it. You see those little circles on it? Well, these circles go around it and they prevent you from going too far depending on which hand that you're installing. That's why you have so many different hand setters and everything else. All of their stuff, whether it be their screws or the handset, they have ball bearing at the end. Now, you don't really need that because when you're setting a hand, right, you're going to be pressing it down. You want to be at a very straight angle. You don't want to twist this. You just want to press it straight down. So I don't necessarily understand why they put that there. But I do like how they put a flat, large piece here for your finger so you don't mistakenly slip off. And then you have a slip and you're doing this and you're not straight. Fair enough? So you get a whole bunch of different sizes for that. These are tools to remove the hands itself, right? So you have that little cutout there that goes around the actual pinion that I showed you guys earlier. So you take these two, you go like this, and then you lift off the hands if you have to reset them. When you're doing this for the first time, chances are you're not going to line it up the way you're happy with, where it's perfect. You'll know what I'm talking about. when you're trying to set the hour and minute hand and you want the hour to be straight on the 12 when it's at 12 o'clock. Like, let's say it's 6 o'clock, right? You want it to be straight on the 6 and straight on the 12. So if you don't achieve that, you have to remove the actual hands, and you do that kind of motion to remove the hands itself on the watch. These are prying tools, so it's very similar to the actual watch removal hands. In fact, I've used these for removing the hands itself. They're a little thicker and they don't have that little cutout. You can do it, but more importantly, protecting the dial is probably the most important thing, and I'll explain that to you once we see the dial cover. But this is a pry tool. You could use this to remove the actual bezel. Let me see if I can get the case back here. To remove the actual bezel itself, right? They have an actual tool for this, but this can also assist you in doing that. These are very, very useful. They're a thick piece of metal. They don't bend. They don't give into whatever you're resisting them for. So I really love these. I have the original ones. I'm glad that I have new ones now because they're nice and sharp and nice and clean. I will be using this tool set for all my modifications moving forward because of how much it covers across the gamut. So we have a screwdriver here. What's nice is they have the removable ends here, and whatever size screw or whatever shape screwdriver that you need, you just remove the end and then you put the new one in. That's simple. Again, you get ball bearings here, which is now it's important when it comes to the screw, right? Because when you're doing one of these things, when you're twisting, you want this kind of like spin at the end of it, and you see how fast it's like a fidget spin, right? Very, very loose, very, very nice, very high quality. Look, tools in watchmaking, is it everything to a newcomer? No, it's not everything to a newcomer. It is everything to a person that wants to do this more than once and wants to learn something and apply it to the watches that they have, right? If you're doing a one and done, you could probably go with the basic set. This is the pro set. This is if you think that you will want to service your watches moving forward. Hell, if you want to change out bracelet links and everything else, I mean, if you have screwed in links, this tool set provides all those different sizes as it comes. So you can go with the pro set to get that as well. So I just wanted to make sure I say that. Let's go back to camera. We're gonna get to the chat too. Nice to see that DIY Watch Club has upgraded the tool set. Yes, big upgrade. A couple of things. Yes, there is a couple of things that are new. We're going to get to that as well. So this is your standard tool set for your bracelet, right? You guys know what this is. This is to remove the lugs, to remove the spring bars, spring bar removal. And then you have this for the actual bracelet itself. So if you have a push pin or if you have drilled lugs and everything else, but very high quality. You get to close it, make sure that end piece doesn't get bent and everything else. This is very, very sturdy, very high quality. Then you have your tweezers. You have your thicker tweezer here. Now, I recommend you use these tweezers, this one right here. If you're going to use tweezers to hold the watch hands, this has more surface area to it. So, and it's also not pointed, so it's less likely that you'll scratch when you do it. If you're going to go the route and you feel confident in your dexterity for holding hands on a tweezer, I say go with this. I also use these to remove batteries because it has that kind of like rounded end to it. Otherwise, you have this kind of tweezer with a fine point, right? This is like a very, very sharp fine point. I sometimes use this to remove the stem when you have to press that little circle thing to remove the stem and the crown and everything else, but it's not necessary. There are several different things. This is wood peg. This is a piece of wood, okay? Why is this important? Why did they add a piece of wood, an enlarged toothpick? Well, when you're cleaning stuff from the watch and you're cleaning anything off of metal, on the dial itself, wood is softer than metal, much softer than metal. So you don't have to worry about if you have to give it a little bit of a scratchy. You shouldn't use the point end, by the way. You should use this end. If you're doing a cleaning, I like to use this end. It's a reason why it's cut this way. I like to do like one of these. And even still, when I'm using this end and I'm using this wood peg, I'm still very lightly grazing it, right? You don't need a lot of pressure. You're doing something like this and do it like a little bit of an angle, give it a little bit of love. But at the end of the day, it's less likely that you're going to scratch your metal and leave scratches on your dial or whatever it is that you're cleaning when you're using this. But When you get this tool set and you get the actual parts itself, everything's going to be clean. So you shouldn't have to worry about that too much. This is a blower. This is a smaller blower. It gets the job done. If I have to give criticism to anything, it would probably be this. I'll tell you what, in my experience of watchmaking, let me see if I could just grab that real quick. Hi, beautiful. In my experience of watchmaking, I like this one better. So this is my first criticism, DIY Watch Club. If you're watching this, this gives a lot more blow, a lot stronger. You can kind of control it with small. This smaller tip, because there's a much smaller hole, I just feel like it's just harder to really squeeze it and get the kind of like blow that you want to. So that's the only criticism that I would say for this. Maybe enlarge the hole, maybe do the extending part as well. Other than that, that's fine. You have your jeweler's loop. This is pretty much useless to me because, as you guys know, I have glasses. So instead, what I have, and again, I modify a lot of watches, right? So this is worth the investment. But I have this. Most people are not going to have glasses. This goes over my glasses, so I don't have to worry about this piece itself scratching the lenses to my glasses, which is very important because it reduces how clear my glasses are over time. So this is the jeweler's loop. This is pretty important as well. I would recommend that you utilize this when you're putting on the second hand, especially for the first time. The second hand to a watch for your first rodeo is going to take you a long time unless you just get lucky. It can take anywhere from 5 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes. An hour and 20 minutes? Yeah. Realistically, and Dad Mods, you're in the chat. The first time you put a second hand on your watch itself, you have to look very closely. They have a very good instructional video as to when that second hand is properly seated. So I recommend watching the full video to what they provide before you start anything. Even still, the level of, it's a skill, right? Watchmaking is a skill, and seating that second hand on properly is very difficult. And if it takes you an extraordinary long time, it's not you. There's nothing wrong with you. That's just how it goes. Even now, I'll be honest, I can get a second hand on a watch in anywhere between 5 seconds to like 20 minutes. And I feel that I've done it a lot of times. So if that doesn't say anything to you, and I've done it maybe like, I don't know how many times, that should speak volumes. So we're not done with the tool set. Let's go back into that. So underneath this, we have more. Oh, wait, hold on. I didn't speak about this. So this is something that I haven't seen before. I actually had to do some homework on this. This is actually very quirky, but it's also very nice. What this is for, when the movement is out, you wrap this around the movement. Now, when you have the dial installed and you have the hands installed, you see this temporary stem and crown, right? So when you have the actual case that's going to be the final product, you have the actual crown and stem. That's going to be replaced with this temp, right? This temp is here just for you to test the movement, for you to set the time, whatever. Bottom line is, once you get the hands and once you get the dial and the hands on here, you'll have to remove this by pressing a little circle on the back of the movement and remove it. Now, what makes that difficult is that now, once you install that dial and hands, you pretty much are free-handing. You're turning it around and you're trying to press that little button on the back of the movement while trying to almost pull this out, right? And I've had techniques where I kind of rest the movement here, I press, and then I pull. It's very difficult. The bottom line is that it is a little tricky, and if it's your first time, it's going to feel weird. And then, of course, with everything being exposed, even though you installed the dial in the hands, you don't want to foul anything, right? You just spent time putting everything on. So you don't want to foul anything when you're trying to remove this. That being said, what they've came with is this product where once everything's installed, you see how thick it is? It's going to hold everything into place. So it's going to hold the dial. It's going to hold everything. So it's going to hold the actual movement. And then you just turn it around. You could even set it down at that point because you'll have a little bit of space, but I still recommend like kind of holding it, and then you remove it. So that's all that this part is here as well. And I think that this only comes with the Pro set as well, just to be clear. Moving on. So we have the second layer now, which is the final layer to the tool set. And what do we have here? Okay. So we have that case back removal that I showed you guys before that's in my set. I've had this for many, many years, used it many, many times. It's fantastic quality. You roll this out depending on the size of the case back. You roll this out, you roll this in, it changes the size of it. So if you have a very wide case back, it'll be wider. If it's shorter, you could just make it smaller. Fair enough. You press down, you turn, have a nice day. This pad here is what you use to, for me, I rest the movement on here a lot when I'm doing my things, or if I'm, doing my case install, right? We can imagine that this case back is open and I'm ready to receive the movement into the case. Then I'll just have this here and I'll press this down, and this is very soft material here. This is very soft. This is a very like a gelatin type of thing. It's very good for handling delicate parts to your watch. You still don't want to put the movement or the watch face down on here, obviously, but you can do backside. That's fine. Not a big deal. And this is what it looks like, what's holding it. It goes in here, and very nice, right? So that's something that you commonly see. This is an actual movement holder. So you can put the movement on here when you're installing the hands and the dial itself. I kind of recommend actually this over this. Reason being is that, as you can see, there's some space in between here. So if you would imagine if this movement was naked and it didn't have this protective case, you'd have all the parts here that are very sensitive exposed. Therefore, while it's on here, that would be suspended, not touching anything directly, right? And that balance wheel being the most sensitive thing in a watch movement altogether. Like literally, if you just pinch this, you already ruin the movement. So you want to be very careful with this oscillating part here, right? You want to stay away from that at all times. And I say that a lot in my building videos too. What do we have besides that? We have this, which remove the pins from the actual links itself, which is not necessary because those are screwed in links, but they still provide that. This is to help you remove the actual bezel, right? This has been filed. So this is not sharp, right? You would imagine if this was a knife, I'd be cutting my finger open. So this is not sharp at all. This saves you from scratching the case. So just to give you guys a visual of how you would use that, you'd be placing this. And on this bezel, there's a specific space on here. I don't see it right now, but underneath this bezel, you'll see a specific space where this tool set will go. So you put it like this, and then you apply pressure, and that bezel pops off. So that's a bezel remover in itself. You have something to hold your phone, right? I still have this from the original as well. So when you're watching the videos, I'm actually using my phone as a camera, but I have my other phone here. If you're watching the video, you place your phone here. Now you can watch the video, which is very, very good. I watched all the videos from DIY Watch Club. It's very instructional. You can watch the video as you're going along. Fair enough? What else do we have? Bergeron Rodico. Rodico is something that most people are not familiar with. Just to show you guys what it looks like. It's basically like putty. It's basically like a clay, if you will. So that's what it is. This is a lot. Like, you're not going to use all of this at all. You're going to use like a little pinch of this when you're actually using what it's for, right? And I use Rodico for several different things. Let me show you guys a little piece that I have here on my desk. So this is how I store my Rodico. This is the amount that even this is a lot, to be honest with you. But just to show you guys, this is what Rodico looks like. It's a very putty. It's you can manipulate it very, very well. And the reason why this lasts a long time, you can use this to clean your dial. So if you would imagine, let me grab the dial. If you'd imagine that this dial was out, you would just dab if you see dust on it, right? Or you can stretch this out kind of like into a point. I do this also often too. And what I do is I jam the actual hands on here inside of it. And then the Rodico, it's not necessarily sticky, but it is, right? Like, Rodico will hold on to things. Fair enough? So you can gently put the hands on here, and then you have this thing to kind of hold the hands while you actually do the press down to that tool. Let me see. So imagine if I had the hands in here, then you use the press down tool, and then I was installing it onto the dial. So Rodico is very, very versatile. It's very, very soft. It's used for cleaning. This is like 3 years worth of Rodico. Like, when it gets dirty, you just do one of these, and it kind of like self-cleans. You're using the center of it, and then it's clean all over again. So I use one piece of radical, this will last me almost like 3 months, depending on how much that you actually do install. So that's that. What else do we have here? They also provide finger cots. Very, very important. Don't skip out on putting finger cots on your fingers, because the natural oils can disrupt the movement itself. It can make the movement, age faster and everything else. So you always want to wear finger cots, and also keeps fingerprints off of everything else too. The last thing you want is install this rotor and then there's a whole bunch of your fingerprints on there. But you want to protect your natural oils on your skin from the movement itself specifically. It's fine to obviously handle this with your hand, no problem. But for the movement itself, whenever you're holding the movement, and I can do this because it's in the case, but if it weren't, I have to wear the finger cots. Along with that, we have a dial protector, which is also good. When you have to remove the hands, you put the dial protector that slips underneath the actual hands itself. Then you can actually use those tools. That dial protector goes underneath the hands. Then you use the tools to remove the hands. And these metal pieces are now only touching this plastic instead of directly on the dial itself, which the dial itself is very, very fragile. If you're using tools like this, you will scratch the dial very, very easily and by mistake. So use the dial protector if you are going to remove the hands itself. Now, I have a GMT model, yes? So what that means is if I'm going to remove the hands, that dial protector may not even be flush enough for me to get underneath the GMT hand. At that point, what I would do is I would put this plastic over the hands itself just to protect everything, and then I would use these removers to remove the hands, and this plastic would be enough to protect the actual dial from being scratched. Just giving you a little bit of extra, because this is an actual GMT movement at the end of the day, and the GMT hand sits very flush. This is the spring for this, right? So this goes in here, then it wraps around your head, and that's how it stays on your eye for you to get those close-ups when you're looking at the second hand or the hands itself. These are removers these are digital pin removers from the other tools that we look. So that's the whole set. That's the whole set that they're providing, ladies and gentlemen. I want to catch up on chat. I know that was a lot, but I wanted to go through the actual tool set that they're providing. And I think that they did a phenomenal job in covering all the things that they would need to cover for you to complete this modification. Now, the Pro set, this was the Pro set. Does that mean that you won't have enough to complete the set from their basic kit? You will, but I think having that extra storage, having those extra things that they provide with it makes a difference. What are you guys saying on chat? Looking forward to, I'm just catching up on chat. Hold on one second. Give me a catch up on chat. Those pin removers vices are basically useless. Yeah, sometimes I know what you're talking about. You're talking about this. It all is relative to the actual bracelet. So if you have split pins that are very tight and the finishing is very not good, then this is not going to help you. Actually using a tool and forcing it will. But I have to say that Wristful, this has been actually useful for higher quality bracelets that still utilize a split pin. If you have a more affordable bracelet, it's not going to work. It's still going to get stuck. They bend. I think that's what you're referring to, Wristful. They do bend very easily. That's very frustrating because then you have to replace that end piece and it becomes annoying. So it's all actually relative to the bracelet that you're using it for. Use the movement holder when removing the temp stem. You can do that as well because it is see-through. Yes, there's several ways to do it. There's several ways to do it. You're absolutely right. I mean, you and I, JP, have figured that out by now. But I got to give everything even to the newcomers and everything else. Okay, so you guys are saying, hi, I'm a sucker for a nice cutout box. Yeah, dude, that cutout box is actually pretty nice. Everything is snug as a bug. They did a very good job. They even layered it with different tools. I mean, you don't have to worry about everything rattling around the actual thing itself. So I thought that was really, really, really nice. Really, really, really high quality for sure. I cut myself out. So I'm also a sucker for that. It gives you that kind of high quality, right? That costs money. We both know that. So I'm looking to the website. Yeah, so Mr. Magoo, I might have gotten the last kit. So I do apologize. I might this one specifically for the one I have, they are sold out. I do have high hopes that they will refill the parts needed to do this mod. I do apologize because I might have gotten the last one, but it'll be worth it because now you'll see exactly if it's worth it to purchase when it does come back in stock. And I would imagine that they do. This is what they do, right? All day long. All right. That being said, let's go to the website. Let's take a look because I want to show you guys what that looks like. And these are all, I skipped to all of the watchmaking. So if you go on here, I have it from the most affordable to highest priced watch kit that they have. So we have Open Heart, as you guys can see. We have a standard dress watch. We have Pilot. Most of these are going to be NH35. Some of these are Miyota 8000 series, which makes sense for the price. In fact, a lot of these are Miyota from the beginning. Yeah, so these are Miyota 8000 series. Apologies. Miyota 8000 series. So we have a Pilot, we have a Field, we have a Dress, we have Diver, we have Complete Skeleton. Starting with the price point of 210, right? And it's going to go up. It's going to go up. We have a little bit patina over here. That's also very nice. Some more Pilots, some more Skeleton, Divers. I mean, they got nice. They have a big selection, man. They have a big selection. I think that's important. Here's page 2. We're now at a $400 price point, so almost double. So what you're going to get from that at that point is a GMT. This is a Seiko GMT, okay? And that's the bezel insert that I chose, but that's not exactly the kit that I have. We have NH34 with ceramic, and bronze. So this is, they may have other bronze, but I think that this is fantastic. Bronze with blue. Bronze with this blue actually works. Bronze with green, I think works even better. But what I do notice, and maybe you notice it too, they have a matching date wheel here. So that's really, really nice. Really, really cool. It's cool to see the evolution. It's cool to see the evolution. And this is what I have specifically. It is sold out. I do apologize if maybe my kit that they sent me was the last one, but I'm sure they'll restock on here. But again, I specifically chose this because it has the Miyota series, 9075. That's something that I've never put together myself, so I'm excited to see how that goes. Maxi Diver hands, BGW9. I was correct on the loom, 9000 series. So we have high beat, 42 millimeter, ceramic bezel, unidirectional. There's all the stats. 200 meters. So they do list here 200 meters, and they make sure to say, where is it? 20 ATM, assuming correct assembly. That's fair. That's very fair. Strap is 22 millimeters, so not as strap friendly as a 20 millimeter, but still everybody has either 20 or 22. 21 would be weird. 19 would be weird. Fantastic, man. I urge you guys to take a look at their YouTube, take a look at their Instagram, take a look at their webpage, man. I have it in the description below for you guys to take a gander and see. Listen, you don't have to purchase anything. Take some time. I always tell you guys, do some research. Don't let me be the only person to make you make that decision. I want you guys to do your homework. But I can tell you this, from a bird's eye view and from experience I've had building my first watch from many years ago, I don't have any expectation in seeing the actual tools provided, the thought process in giving you the additional stuff where it was very important. They're batting 1,000 right now. And I don't have any reason to believe that I'm going to have any issues with any of the quality moving forward. With that being said, please ask your questions now because we are going to close out in the next 5 minutes. I do appreciate everybody for being on this live. And if you're watching on this playback, I do appreciate that too. So my plan is this. I'm going to install this. Now, I'm not going to do a step-by-step install guide. I'm not going to show you guys me doing the dial and the hands. No. I'm going to enjoy installing this off camera, and then I'm going to write notes, and then I'm going to get on camera and speak to you guys about my experience and not just the surface level things. I want to see if I discover things that people are not going to typically tell you as a tip, or what was a struggle or what wasn't a struggle. And the reason why I'm not doing that is because I've done the step-by-step process. I have a whole playlist when it comes to modifying watches that you guys can watch. But B, as I said, they have a very good video instruction where you're not going to be lost if you're doing this for your first time. Like, it's really like they even explain to you what not to do. Like, they do it the way I do it. All the things that I've done wrong in the past, they warn you about on how not to do it and everything else. So it's extremely detailed. I was very impressed with that. But as an experienced builder, I want to give you what my experience is in building this. Fair enough? What are the questions that you have before we close this out? That's what I want to know at this point in time. The captain has put on the sign. I'm a sucker. I read that one. Let me see. Anything from me that you guys are saying? Okay. Okay, I read that. I actually didn't buy any watches. Okay, you guys are talking about what he's doing, those pin removal. And I read that. Let's start from the bottom and go where definitely ordering one of those. I'm definitely ordering one of those kits. Tempted to get a watch kit tool. Wait, say that again. Oh, so you're ordering one of the watch kits parts. If you don't have any parts, Mr. Magoo, listen, man, I can't spend your money, yeah. But I'll tell you something, man. The Pro Tool set for this, it's worth it. Like, it has everything very nice and organized. It's going to keep everything from rubbing up against each other, breaking. The screws are ball bearing. They have that flat. I mean, there's just so much to love. With even if this was my very first time opening this box, I did open this box prior to doing this live just to take a peek. But even prior, man, like, I'm very impressed, and it's worth the investments, especially if your goal, Mr. Magoo, is to learn enough where you feel confident in doing small servicing cues. Like, if your secondhand drops off one of your watches and you just want to reapply it, it's 100% worth it. 100% worth it for sure. So that's where I'm going to lead off for that. But again, I know that there's a price difference from getting a very affordable tool set versus getting their Pro set. I understand. I don't think there's any other questions. So we're going to close this out. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, I do appreciate, I hope that this was beneficial. I hope you got something from it. I hope they gave some insight. This was just the unboxing. I will give you guys my greater details later on. And of course, I appreciate you guys for spending your most valuable asset, which is time. And I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Have a great weekend, everyone. I appreciate everybody who's joined me here today. Peace.